Hello, Claire. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, hi. Great to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. Have you had a nice summer?
It's been a busy summer. So I've got 3 children, 2 teenagers and a 12-year-old, and I felt like I was just constantly juggling. So kind of fitting work in around what was going on with the kids, and then we did have a holiday, but it was a glamping trip. So it was quite full on. But yeah, it was a good summer. But I'm actually really happy my kids have gone back to school so that I can just get some headspace.
Yeah, it's all when it's summer. My wife's always quite excited for the kids to break up and spend a bit more time at home. But it comes to the end of the summer, and she's pleased, like you, that they've gone back to school. We met at a workshop. I can't remember how many months ago it was, but it was a workshop I was running at HSBC, if I remember rightly. Was it on SEO? Was that?
It was. Yeah, it was. Yes, I was coming to learn and grab some knowledge on SEO, which is a minefield.
It is, even for me. I mean, it's I know quite a lot about the sort of upper levels of it, but there's people I work with who dive fairly deep on it. But hopefully, you managed to walk away with a few things.
Yeah, no, you shared some really great tips. No, I really enjoyed it. It was nice and it was fun.
Yeah, it was good. Although they need to up their game on the biscuits, I think. I've passed on my feedback to them on that.
Well, I'm sugar-free, so I'm not there for the biscuits.
But one of the things I mentioned as part of search optimization was about getting backlinks from people guest posting and things like that. And I mentioned that actually, if you came on as a podcast guest, that is one way that you can get that backlink, and that prompted this conversation. But actually, you're not just coming on to get the backlink. Now, you've got an interesting story to tell as well. So I want you to dive in to that, and it's all about how marathon running and training for it and preparing for it has really developed you and helped the businesses that you work in and run. So I do want to come to that, but first, just give me a bit of background about how you work at the moment. I know you're working with a company called Brave Dog. Tell me a little bit about that.
So I feel like I've got kind of 2 hats and then my mummy hat. I've got my own business. So I'm a confidence coach. And so I work with entrepreneurs. And I think we're going to come on to that bit in a bit later. Yeah, in terms of Brave Dog. So pre-kids, I worked in advertising in London. And this is kind of feels like a little bit of that.
Yeah.
So Nick, the MD, I'd known for quite some time. And they were looking for someone else to sort of join their very sort of small agency team. And what seemed to be sort of missing in there was someone to do that nurturing and that people bit and build those relationships, because ultimately that's how business is done. So I'm head of partnerships at Brave Dog. So I'm there 3 part-time days, which is nice because I like working in the sort of team environment, because when I'm coaching, it's mostly one-to-one. So it just brings a different kind of variety and different challenges to me. And what's great about being in a small company is you get kind of eyes on everything. So as a business owner, actually, I've learned a huge amount. But yeah, in terms of what we do, they're a branding and design agency and strategic consultancy. So yeah, some exciting work that we do.
And it's a lovely site too. I really like some of the start. It's quite simple in some ways visually, but I'd imagine technically, looking at how some of it works, it's got a little bit to it. The about page, but scrolling through, it's got this lovely text scroller on here.
Yes,
through the title. I love that. It actually took me a little while. It got me, I was quite engaged by moving it up and down, trying to read what was there. I love that. And this is just your team page, but nicely done here. Your picture caught my eye on here. What's happening in this photo, or what has just happened?
Do you know, I actually don't know what was going on. We were doing a photo shoot, and when the photos came back, there was this one. And my creative director was like, that is brilliant. I'm having that photo on the team page. I was like, oh my God, no, like that's not the photo I want to put on there. But we wanted to add it just to show, you know, we've got personality and character. But I can't tell you what we were talking about, but clearly very funny.
Well, for people who are just listening on audio, it looks like someone has thrown a bucket of cold water over you, but there's no water on you. You look very shocked. But in some ways, yes, okay, you may not appreciate that image so much, but actually I think it's engaging, it's different. It stopped me, certainly. I thought it was quite interesting. So actually the other guys in the image, you know, as part of the team, they need that, Matt and Nick. I think they need the images too. It's just fair otherwise. You guys get involved in, maybe is there one or two interesting projects that you've been working on recently?
Yeah, we have some really interesting projects and get to work with some incredible kind of really visionary entrepreneurs who, really want to kind of take on the world, which is always fun to work with those kind of people who want to move at a fast pace and get stuff done. A project that we've been recently working on, we've just relaunched an IT brand. We renamed them. We've completely, obviously they've got a whole new brand identity off the back of that new website, and we're now delivering all their marketing as well. So that's been quite exciting because they've literally come right from the start all the way through kind of our processes that we kind of are experts in. So that's been fun. And then another example is we're working with a defense company, and we've just created, part of their marketing is doing a cycle challenge for charity. Mm-hmm. So they're exhibiting at a big defence show up in Edinburgh in October. And so the whole sort of, I won't go into detail because it's really quite complex industry and I don't really understand exactly what they do. Part of what they're trying to share with kind of their clients at the moment is about being fit and ready for the next level of technology and information that they need to be on board with. And so we put together this campaign called Fit and Ready. And so part of that is cycling to Edinburgh, some of it virtually, some of it done. The last 100 miles will be done, some of the team doing that cycle. So raising money for Mind. So really, really nice project to work on. Great clients, up for doing something different and kind of standing out, particularly in that industry. If you imagine everyone is pretty the same, very military background, everyone looks the same. They're a really fun client to work with.
Yeah, and I guess that the challenge there is getting the right clients who are willing to do something different, because it's all well and good, you having that as your strap line, but either convincing existing clients to do that or finding the right clients is hard. But once you do, I'd imagine it gives you an advantage because you can really do something different and interesting.
Yeah, it's where we get to do our best work when we have clients like that. Yeah,
and it's fun, a little bit different. Before we finish on this and move over to your coaching business, there's something that caught my eye in the journal, which I thought was quite funny. The top article here, why Swindon isn't as bad as people from London think it is. Obviously, people watching the video can see what word is actually there. Great, again, caught my eye. The article isn't quite as rude about it when you go into it. It's a nice style, actually, nice feel for the site. So as an example of a site that is a little bit different, breaking some of the conventional bounds of having menu, masthead image, just other content. This actually is quite an interesting case study in looking at something different. Just before we move on to your coaching side of things, I just want to quickly talk about our sponsor, if that's okay, Claire. So our sponsor is in the Inventive Marketing Club. It's something I run on a monthly basis. You can access it through our Inventive People site. So if you hop over to inventivepeople.co.uk, go to Inventive Internet Marketing, and then click on our club, then you can find out more details there. Essentially, monthly webinar, as I said, where we dive into subjects such as search optimization, Google Analytics, and most recently image editing, where I did a live screen share, going through some typical examples that are quite usual, really, for people who are making social media icons, avatars, and just doing general image processing for their websites. So that was a particularly useful one for a lot of our clients and club members. It's just £250 for the year, excluding VAT. If you buy the year, then you get a 60-minute one-to-one with me as well, so we can talk about anything marketing related. However, if you want a free ticket, you can get on the guest list. You just need to email me. That's on hello@ratherinventive.com, and I'll make sure you get a free trial ticket so you can test it out and be part of the club for that month and see what goes on and see whether you like it. To get on the guest list, just email me, hello@ratherinventive.com. Right, thank you for that. So I want to move on to the coaching side of your business. Just talk a little bit more about that if you want.
So yeah, I'm a confidence coach. So I basically work with entrepreneurs, mostly female, though I am working with a man as well at the moment. Men still have the same issues, I find, as women. Absolutely. We're all human. Yeah, so mostly entrepreneurs and really sort of helping them transform their self-esteem, their self-confidence, so that they can accelerate success in their life. So whether that's their business, their work, or just, their relationship, it's all intertwined, I always feel. So yeah, very much working on a one-to-one basis. So mostly kind of work with my clients on a weekly basis, run workshops as well, which I really enjoy, and do quite a lot of motivational motivational speaking as well, which is another big passion of mine.
In terms of how you run your one-to-ones, is that in person, or do you do something like this, a sort of a remote or a Zoom call?
Both, actually. So it really depends on the location of the person. I do find a lot of my clients do really like to meet face to face. So if I can, I will try to do that. But obviously, they need to be local to me. I've done both.
And with the workshops, why do you do those? Is that a revenue generator? Is it something you enjoy doing it? What's the reason behind that?
There's a real power in getting a group of people together, and almost you're just facilitating a conversation around a table. You're particularly with women. I find I've only run women's workshops. They will all kind of help each other, give each other, tips and advice. It's just got a completely different vibe. It does take a lot of my energy and obviously a lot of preparation. Yeah, there's something really kind of nice to see how women really support each other in that way. And most often they all have the same kind of obstacles or problems. And it's just like, I'll just ask a question and suddenly it's all comes up. There's normally tears as well. But, that's all part of the process of kind of detoxing from this stuff. So, it's got a different energy.
And are they paid workshops? Is it something you do to generate income, or are they lead generators? Right.
Yeah, they're paid workshops. And then from that's often I'll get one-to-one clients from that.
Great. Yeah. So it's something we found that workshops work really well for that. I like doing it, test my knowledge, make sure I know what I'm talking about, because otherwise people will challenge you on something.
Yeah.
That's good. But also just meeting new people, that potential, that new audience. In terms of, so coming on to the topic of running a marathon, how did that start? Where did that come from? Have you always been active and interested in running, or is this something that has come to you later on?
It's a very good question, because there's a story there. When I was a teenager at school, I was the girl who was always picked last in PE. Kind of, would hear people say, "Oh God, she's like rubbish at catching. You don't want her on the team or whatever." So you can completely empathise with this. Yeah, so it was always that one, just waiting for someone, please, to take me on their team. Because of all of that, I didn't realise actually how much that really ingrained in my kind of beliefs about myself in terms of like doing sport. Created this sort of big story around it, that actually impacted family games of cricket, be there to hold the picnic and put the blanket out and do all those things to avoid actually having to catch a ball or play, because I hadn't really had any practice of it, because I hadn't really got stuck in at school. And it was probably when my children were quite young, I started to get a little bit more time. They were starting to go to school and preschool. And I was like, suddenly had some time to be able to think about maybe doing some exercise, and really wanted to be healthy for my children, really, so I could run around and play football with them. Started sort of going to the gym and doing a bit of running. And I remember I used to put my makeup on in case I ever bumped into someone. And if I did bump into someone, I'd absolutely die, because I was just like, oh my God, like me running. And obviously, I've got this whole story and belief about actually I'm really bad at sport. But anyway, I kept going. And at the time, I was actually working with a coach. And it was actually what he taught me, which was around, really managing my mindset. And that's really how you approach a marathon. So it's been a journey from, running 20 minutes and thinking, oh my God, I'm going to die, to suddenly just building things up step by step, very small step. So, started with a 10K run, then went to a half marathon, done a few of those. And then I think there was just always this little thing inside of me sort of thinking, little voice sort of saying, maybe one day you could do a marathon. My PE teachers would laugh now if they even knew that I'd actually run 3 now. So, it's like, and all my friends from school are like, my God, that's really incredible. So, yeah, it's been a journey. And I'd say a lot of it has been mostly managing my mind rather than actually the doing and the physical side.
And that's such a shame, isn't it? Because in some ways missed out on some of this activity when you were younger because of how you felt about it and how other people perceived you. And as you found, it is really just down to your mind and how you've changed things, and you've managed to achieve some of these goals quite well. It's just a shame that that's something that people couldn't have helped with when you were younger, when you were at school, and sort of motivated you to do it. It might be different now. I'm trying to think back with my children how things are with school. They certainly do a lot more activities, and they're trying to make it a lot more inclusive. It's a shame, really, because you've missed out a lot. However, maybe it's spirited you to go even further than some people who would have been picked in the
routine? Yes, I think one bonus is I don't tend to get any injuries, touch wood, because I haven't done shed loads of sport in my younger years. So, you know, this is always a positive.
There is always a bright side. I like physical activity, but a marathon doesn't excite me at all.
Anyone can do a marathon.
So just talk to me about the process. Maybe that's quite relevant to the business you're doing now in terms of coaching, in terms of sort of maintaining a high enough energy. Talk to me about that process of going through and how that helps you.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. The mindset you need for running a marathon is exactly the same as running a business. It's just kind of like taking that daily action and committing. So from a marathon perspective, you know, it's thinking about how much sleep you're getting, you know, what you're eating, you know, how am I going to fit in the number of miles I need to do before I've got to take all the kids to all their clubs on a Saturday morning. I'm sure you can relate. So it was like having a kind of no matter what attitude, really. Having felt like a really big, hairy, scary goal. When I first committed to the London Marathon, you know, I was like, didn't really know how I was going to do it, but I believed in myself and I trusted that I would actually be able to do that, just really by learning from what I'd already done and just taking it step by step. And I think in business, it's the same, you know, it's taking those daily actions, you know, that consistency and setting yourself goals so that you've got something to strive towards. Not everyone believes in setting goals, but I know for myself it really works, and for most of my clients it really works. I've got a friend who's a really high level coach, works with like CEOs of companies. She never ever sets goals at all. No, that's not her thing, but she is an incredibly high achiever. Yeah, it's kind of working out what really drives you, and for me it's about setting a goal and actually publicly sharing that goal, because actually once you've put that on Facebook and social media and said I'm running the marathon, well, yeah, I really then had to do it. You know, there was no getting out of it. Yeah, so that's kind of been the process. But I'd say it's 80% mindset and just really believing you can do it. I used a lot of visualization, imagining myself and seeing myself cross the line and what that would feel like. And that's incredibly powerful. And I teach that to my clients as well in business. You know, what will it look like for you to have reached that level in your business? What does that feel like in terms of your emotions? That really cements for your subconscious mind to go out and then find those opportunities to achieve it. So
I like the idea of visualization. I found it difficult to use myself on my own. Do you think that's something which is easier if someone else is asking you those questions and prompting you to do it?
Personally, I need someone to keep me accountable. So having a coach is like absolutely spot on for me to help me, you know, reach the goals that I want to achieve. And I think, yeah, it's creating a habit, isn't it? So it's like, you know, we go and brush our teeth every morning, but do you go and do a meditation every morning? Or if you decided you wanted to do that. So it's like, visualization I see is one of those habits that you need to sort of find 5 minutes a day to just sort of focus on. It might be first thing in the morning, it just depends. Yeah, I think once you've got those really good healthy habits in place, you can change so many things in your life.
Are there any, just thinking more practically about the training and the process you've gone through to get that mindset and the habit, is there any sort of techniques you've used apart from visualization to help cement those habits and bring you from someone who is becoming more active to someone who can run a marathon?
Visualization was a really big one. Actually, in terms of your thoughts, so our thoughts impact our feelings, our actions, and then our results. Really managing my thoughts was key. So, you know, if you're giving power to something like, oh, I'm never going to be able to run 19 miles today, after a while, yeah, it's going to feel pretty hard and probably you might not be able to do it. So if you believe you can, you can. If you believe you can't, you most likely can't. So really managing my thoughts, that was key. Again, publicly sharing, a really good one. Kind of trusting in the process and really strengthening that belief, really. And you can do that in lots of different ways. Some people use affirmations. I found actually just running on my own, there was a lot of chatter that would go on, and I'd find that was probably the biggest challenge, but that was how I think I helped to really strengthen the belief that I could do it, because I would just throw in really positive kind of statements like, you know, you can do this, you're nearly there, you look how far you've come. You know, that really helped me myself, and still does when I go out running, because, you know, not always easy, even when you run a marathon.
Something you said there about telling yourself you can do it, you can go that little bit extra distance. I remember I do kickboxing now, started many years ago doing Kung Fu, only because my wife encouraged me to do something extra in the evening. But I remember I always knew I could never do press-ups. That's something I thought, well, I can't do press-ups, and I couldn't. But it's not I can't do them, I just couldn't do them at that time. Just doing some of the training for kickboxing, as you may know, it will be press-ups. That's really part of it. If you need to punch hard, you need to strengthen up those arms. And yeah, first time I found it really hard. I could probably do one, but then actually as you do them, you do get stronger, you build up, because your body starts saying, oh, okay, they need stronger muscles, and they're calling on that need. And then I got to a point where I can do, say, 10 without not being too much an issue. But then the instructor says, right, do 20, and you're getting up to 15. You're like, but I know I will just try and do 20. Even if I can't, it doesn't matter. But I know I can try to get, and I found that really useful, just in my head going, this is horrible, but I can do it. I can do it. I can move on that. It doesn't matter whether you will succeed or not, but the fact is, you know, you can just try that little bit more, and just doing that next time will be easier. It's
a practice, isn't it? And like you say, it's like building up that muscle memory. So yeah, it's really powerful. I mean, the only final thing I'd like to say on the marathon thing is, I remember, like, on the day driving to the marathon, I had all sorts of text messages coming in, people, you know, kind of cheering me on and sending me lovely messages. But some people were asking me about the wall and what I was going to do when I hit the wall. What I discovered was there actually wasn't a wall. It's just something that everyone thinks that's what's going to happen. But in my mind, it was like there was no wall at all, and I did not experience that. And so that just shows you, again, it's about what you put power to. And if I listened to all those comments, maybe I might have struggled at the 17-mile wall that everyone talks about. A lot of power in your thoughts and what you choose to listen to. Is interesting. So yeah, you can definitely do 20 press-ups.
Well, I have to, the way our instructor pushes us. So anything else in terms of how have you taken some of those elements and brought them into the business, your coaching business, maybe your role at Break?
It's kind of taking those beliefs, knowing that actually there's patterns of behavior that get in the way of business, stories about ourselves that, you know, totally get in the way of business. So, you know, a really common story that people say is, oh, you know, I can't do public speaking. You know, it's just sort of breaking all of that down, really. I mean, everyone can publicly speak and everyone can run a marathon, but we just think we can't. For me, I know it's about making a commitment and really deciding. And then once I decide something, it's really just breaking down the steps and kind of breaking it down into sort of bite-sized goals. So, you know, what does that look like in a daily to achieve X, Y, Z goal in 3 months? So that's kind of how it's helped me, definitely in business, is sort of, having a goal and then just breaking it down.
Yeah, that breaking down is important, because anything complicated or feel too big, if it's until you start looking at it and go, okay, well, I can do this part of it now, or work with someone else on that. There's an article I found about you on being truly me. Is that right? Being truly me.
Yes.
I might share that if I will, because it's got a photo of you at the end with your husband, I think.
Oh yeah, that's my husband. Yeah. That was after the Brighton Marathon.
Right. Still smiling at the end, which is great. This is a nice little article talking about from mum to marathon runner, and a little bit more information about you and some of the workshops that you deliver. Definitely worth a read. Right. So I want to move on from that and just talk about something that we're doing in terms of, I guess, stretching myself. I've got a little story on this. I wanted to help with this charity, or this charitable action called Do Action, which is a one-day hackathon. And they happen all around the world. I think this is the second in the UK. And the idea is, during one day, we produce a website for a charity, whether they have one or not, but we'll produce them a new website from start to finish. And it's all given free. All the time is given free. People are supported throughout that process. It's lots of content creators, designers, developers coming together to put that project together. But I felt a little bit, I had a slight bit of imposter syndrome when I was approaching it. I mean, I've done web development and project management for 20 years. And even coming to this, I think, well, this is completely, it feels completely outside of my comfort zone. I know I wanted to do it because it seemed like a fun thing to do. It's going to be really helpful. It's a way I can support a charity. But in terms of the doing, I really was hesitating before I pressed the button, but I'm glad I have. Charity entries are closed now. They've got their 5 charities that they're moving forward with, and they're just looking for developers developers, designers, and a few project managers. The charity we're helping or supporting is the Cheltenham and District Carers and Families, or CADCAF. And actually, we've got one position available. We need a designer. Excellent. So if this goes out and it hasn't been filled and there's a designer, then do have a look. But if not, there are some other positions available for the other charities, all very worthy. I think it'd be fun. You get to meet a lot of other WordPress developers and designers. So definitely worth doing, and it's something we're involved in. So also, just to follow up on our events, we've got lots of events coming up now until the end of the year. One particularly point out is I've been invited to speak at the Bath Digital Festival, which I'm really pleased with, because I've been there for 2, maybe 3 years. I think the last year, Al and I were running around with our camera doing a mini sort of podcast summary of the event, which was really exciting. And we got to speak to Jim Morrison, the runner, the director of the event. But this year, I managed to put in my a talk that we're going to do, and it's all about how I made a plugin. And it's less about the coding and more about that challenge. You know, you're talking about having the goal and trying to fit something in. I can do a little bit of programming, but I didn't think I could do this until I go to a few meetups, talk to a few people, I build up that confidence, and bit by bit by bit, I work out how I can do it. It's a small thing, a small feat, but very important to me. So I just talk about that. I found the time to do that in and around the day job. It's actually a free event, and it's an amazing event. I don't know if you've been to it, Claire.
I'd definitely like to have a look at that, because it would be relevant for Brave Dog. And good for you speaking. That's brilliant. And sharing something that you've had a challenge with and achieved. That's great.
Well, again, that's a little bit scary as well, opening that up to critique from people and sort of trying to be honest about these things. But yeah, it's amazing. So if anyone's interested, it's 4 days over that period from the 22nd to the 26th. £15 at the moment for a ticket for all those events over that period of time. It's amazing, really. So definitely worth checking out. That's it, I think, for this particular episode. Where can we find you online, Claire?
So my website is actually being redesigned. I'm changing the content, and I've had a load of photos done. Yes, so that will be coming soon. So actually right now, LinkedIn, Facebook or Instagram.
You can find me. I'm at Benkened on Twitter, or you can email hello@ratherinventive.com. You can find the show notes for this episode. I'll just bring up the screen for everyone to see. If you go to ratherinventive.com/podcast, you can see all of our podcasts that we've produced there over the last 2.5 years, varying between Al and I in the early days. We've got interviews with lots of different people. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts. You can go on Stitcher or TuneIn, or you can subscribe on YouTube as well if you want to see us in video. If you do want to support the podcast, if you find it interesting, do rate us on iTunes. That does help us get found, and we're going to get more viewers, and sort of it gives us a thumbs up that we're doing the right thing. We're moving in the right direction. And don't forget our sponsor, Inventive people. Do go and visit the site, join the club, Inventive Marketing Club, and make sure you get your free ticket by emailing hello@ratherinventive.com. Thank you very much, Claire, for your time. It's really interesting to find out about your journey and where you are now, and hopefully see you at another one of the workshops at some point.
Thank you. It's been great.